Rica safe. This is a heads up video for people who are looking into Costa Rica travel or for expats in Costa Rica. I'm an expat myself. I live in Costa Rica since 2018, and it's my intention with this live video to create awareness, to give some tips, and especially to prevent more crime. If you are planning on coming to Costa Rica, of course you want to make it an amazing time, whether that's to live in Costa Rica like I do myself. And when you're planning on vacationing in Costa Rica, of course you want to enjoy Costa Rica, and Costa Rica is amazing. So before I'm gonna dive into some tips, and also I'm gonna share some examples that almost no one talks about related to crime that is happening currently, that I'm kind of shocked about. So I decided to just hop on live, share it with you, open the lines for comments, because there might be things that I cannot advise you on, but I do know some type of crime is causing a lot of problems. So I want to open up the line and open up a conversation as well, because together we know more. But I have some awesome tips that has helped me a lot in over my whole life in preventing bad things happen to me or my family before and after and while living in Costa Rica. So if you are ready, if you can hear me, let me know in the comments below. I always appreciate your feedback. And so let's get started with welcoming you. Welcome to my live video. If you're new to this channel, you know that there's somewhere a subscribe button. You can subscribe to my channel to get notified after hitting the bell when I do a live video, when I post a video, and everything is what I've learned myself according to Costa Rica. Now, crime is a big topic that people are searching for, and I think there's a lot to say about it and a little to say about it. Let's just start with common crime, which is not fun to talk about either, but those things are happening anywhere in the world, also in Costa Rica. And then let's talk about hidden crime, and I want you to stick to that part of my video because a lot of bad stuff is happening that I'm shocked about, and I want you to know before you come to Costa Rica, and when you're in the middle of it, that you know that we know is happening. So perhaps I talk a little bit vague now, but okay, let me just dive in. Common crime. I'm talking about theft. Suppose you're traveling through Costa Rica, whether you live here or just vacationing. Common crime like theft, theft in buses, theft in planes, theft on the beaches, theft in beach homes, theft in homes. It's happening, not just in Costa Rica. Theft from cars, leaving your valuables in an unguarded place is a cool place for thieves to come. And this is not just happening in Costa Rica, this is everywhere. Okay, so I am not dragging Costa Rica down that there's a lot of theft, but there is theft in Costa Rica. Yes, I will not, hi Joey, I will not say Costa Rica is totally cool and a super safe place. If you are naive and you do not guard your stuff, there will be people taking it from you. That happened to me in any country in the world, not in any country, in other countries in the world. I've traveled a lot of countries. I think I traveled around 30 countries in the world before I finally came to Costa Rica, and I find Costa Rica pretty safe. But everywhere are thieves, even in my home country in the Netherlands. When you go to a place where a lot of people are, like yesterday I went to the fiestas in Cobano, a lot of people there. I have my money belt here right on my heart, so I have my valuables here and never around me somehow in a open bag that pickpocket thieves can just steal things from you. So don't be naive, thieves are here. The goal number one of burglary in houses is the safety deposit, the safety box. I recently heard from friends of mine that had people coming in their house, and the first thing that they broke open was the safe box where all their valuables were in, like jewelry, passports, cash, and paperwork. So my tip for that is do not place everything on one spot, because when they find that safe and they break it open, you lose everything. So I don't know the best tip on that than to just spread it out, hide things in different places, and don't keep it in one spot. But my best advice is less is more. Don't have a lot of cash in your house and keep your passport with you. Just be smart, but some things are hard to prevent. Also, I think about energy, just focus on that. You'll have always that law of attraction working with you. So if you're always focused on crime and things that may be happening to you, everything you focus grows. So that's another part of how I live. I live with the law of attraction, and nothing bad has really happened to me, but I'm always focusing, I'm placing an imaginary wall of fire around my property, that no bad people will come in, that no harmful people will just do bad things to me. I don't know if it works for you, but it works for me also. Well, that's another. I have another tip. I will save it for a little bit. But theft, it's happening everywhere. Also, for single women who travel or who just move from A to B, don't be naive. Don't go by yourself doing things like an evening walk over the beach or hiking through a park. It's the same in the surfer world. Now, I'm not really a surfer, but I do know from the surfer world, you're not gonna, it's best to go together out there. So if something happens, that you are together, not just because you're not an easy target for people who are out there to steal from single tourists, or people who are moving around by themselves, or even murder them if needed. Yes, I am not proud to say that happens in Costa Rica too, but it also happens in the Netherlands, and it happens in the United States, and it happens in Canada, and it happens everywhere. So please do things together. That's a tip to prevent that stuff. Now, it's really amazing to share that my daughter, together with some girlfriends, they organized a manifestation in Montezuma, that's close to where I live, because another girl has been raped on one of Montezuma's beaches, who was by herself. Now, of course, I'm a woman myself, and I'm a mom of a daughter, so I do not agree that it's normal to not be able to walk on the beach without, how do you say that, becoming a target. But also, young women especially should be aware that they can be a target for bad people if they are around. So it's double. But they did a manifestation to create more safe beaches for girls by themselves and stuff. So I think that's really, and also just to make the crowd aware that if you see something happen, or you see someone in need, or the police, that people are there to help. Because in a lot of cases people see things happen, but they don't take action to help someone in need. But this is a fist rule for me. Don't go by yourself to the beach. Don't leave your valuables in cars. When you go swimming or surfing, I know people who were stolen from, they were hiding a key, but there are very familiar surf places where the thieves are laying in the bushes and seeing and checking out where tourists or surfers or expats are hiding their keys to their car with all their valuables in there. And it's a common thing. It happens everywhere around the world. Okay, so unfortunately, okay, but hidden crime in Costa Rica, and that has everything to do with how safe is Costa Rica if you're, for example, on a vacation here. I am very worried about this, and this is new to me, but I live close to a place called Santa Teresa, and in high season this is super crowded and everything is fully booked. Okay, so it's very hard to find a place to stay if you don't have a place to stay. Now, I have seen posts in our community group called What's on Santa Teresa that there have been families who booked an Airbnb or a hotel, and by the time they arrived, they have been told, we're sorry, but we made some overbookings. We do not have a room for you. We do not have your accommodation for you. Now, the real truth, and this is what I read in our community group, is that there is this new way of making more money. I'm not saying every hotel owner or every Airbnb owner is doing this, but I think this is hidden crime. In the time of high season, and people are really money focused, owners of hotels and Airbnbs who are very money focused, and people come at their hotel or their accommodation without having a reservation, and they just pay cash and overbid the people who have paid already and have made their reservations and proof, and they overbid and they are allowed, and the hotel owner says, sorry, our assistant made an overbooking, we really apologize. And And that way the owner makes more, even like more than double the price. Because this place sometimes in high season is a mad place, like it's so busy. And people do anything to get a place to sleep because they forgot to make a booking and they're now here anyways. And so the marketplace, it's very easy for people to make a lot of money out of people harming others in this case. I honestly do not have a solution for this. And this frustrates me because I have seen several stories about this happening just in this community. And I am expecting this is happening in other touristic places too in high season. And it's terrible because I've seen stories of families with children having no place to stay. Suppose you come here, you are tired of your journey, you have young kids, and the hotel says, sorry, we made an overbooking, and they made good money, 2 or 3 times more than the paid price. So, okay, that's hidden crime, okay? Be aware of it, not to frighten you, but I'm just observing and pass it on. I'm not saying it happens everywhere. I'm not saying all the hotel owners are bad, not at all. I'm just saying I see it happen, and it's my duty to share what I have seen and I have learned while being and living in Costa Rica. What I also have seen for Costa Rica expats, people who live here, this is new. Yes, hi, howdy. This is new to me. Not really new to me, but new that I share this. And I've been part of this type of crime myself. So to say, when I came to Costa Rica, I rented a house from someone I've met before I totally moved here. But what appeared is that that was a rental house rented by my landlord, and she was not allowed to rent it out. And she made good money on us. So we were renting for a too high price for what it was worth, for a crappy state. The roof was leaking. I had to arrange stuff myself. So I had to arrange the mechanic for the roof. Well, I just came to Costa Rica. I thought it was all covered. So one, my fault. I didn't arrange it really well. However, it's hard to arrange a good rental when you're not there yet. So it is a dilemma. How do you arrange those things? But I want you to be careful for this. So one, a lot of rentals ask for a deposit, right? A deposit for when you leave and you break stuff, that they can just keep that deposit so they can just, fix the stuff that you broke. It makes sense. If I would rent out a house, I would do the same. But here's the thing, if you haven't seen the place, so I was smart back then, and this is my advice for you. I somehow thought, you know what, let's see the house first, and at the spot, I make the deposit for the, how do you say that? The deposit, the extra deposit, 1 month extra, when I'm there, so I can show my landlord, look, everything is good, or hey, this and this and this is already broke, because she was not in the country when I arrived. So I said, well, I came at the spot, and she agreed on that. Okay, just pay your month rent, and the deposit you can do at the moment you're coming. She agreed on it. But I never paid the deposit because there were some things broken. What appeared to be happening, I found out later, she was in another country and she rented it out to a lot of people before us, and things were broken, and she blamed it on us that we broke it. But I said, it was already broken. Washing machine was already half broken. I really, how do you say that? My clothes, said it were torn apart because there was some spikes in the washing machine. It was adventurous moving to Costa Rica. It wasn't really rainbow at the beginning, the first 2 months we lived in that house. But my point is also, there was this point where it started all really nice. It was like based on trust. We were a family moving to Costa Rica, paid the rent. I never paid the deposit. And she started to become ugly in a way that she wanted money from me. She wanted that deposit. I said, well, it's not in a really good state. We pay a lot of rent for a house with a leaking roof, etc. So, and also we made an agreement on word of mouth that we would stay there for 8 months. But we found another house after the 2nd month. And she was really, really angry now because we got into low season. And she said, well, I cannot find anyone now. So you owe me all those months rent. But I just took the lead with that. Now I'm just saying I was lucky perhaps because this was not a dangerous person. This was a single mom who thought to make a quick buck on some new foreigners who came to live in that town. One, she rented out a house that she was not allowed to rent out. I spoke to the neighbor and he said she's not allowed to do it. We have the same landlord. And two, I heard the real price that she was paying, and we were paying $500 more per month for a crappy state of house. So I kind of knew who I was dealing with. Now, so I took my self-confidence jacket on and I said, well, you can shout as hard as you want, but I am leaving this house anyways. No matter that I agreed on staying 8 months, I found something better that's worth my money, that has no leaking roof over the heads of my kids. And also that is more worth in value compared to what I pay now for, right? And so it ended up, but she was angry. And I just said, well, be angry, do what you want, but I'm leaving by. I didn't pay the deposit, so there was nothing that she could take from me. Later on, I found out while I was doing visa run, and I was sitting in a minibus, that she was famous for doing the same things. Renting out places, taking too much money, don't taking care of the rentees, and just be very rude to people who are very naive and new, and asking way too much money. So in this, my tip is be self-confident and don't be threatened. Don't allow yourself to be threatened, right? But think before you pay any deposit. See if there's a way to not pay a deposit, because sometimes you pay a deposit and you just don't get it back. Unfortunately, that's hidden crime here in this place, that there's a lot of bad landlords. One of my friends pays rent. This is another hidden crime in Costa Rica, according to rentees, and I hear it all around me, unfortunately. So I'm a land property owner, so I don't pay rent. But unfortunately, especially in high season, landlords just out of blue raise their prices twice or 3 times or even 4 times more, and forcing their families or the renters that's in there or to pay more or to be kicked out. While renters have legal rights. When you are a renter, you have the legal right to stay a minimum of 3 years. And a lot of people don't know that. Now, perhaps you think, well, that's good to know. I'm just going to stay where I am. And there's also rights that you have. So a landlord can never kick you out. So if you appeal on that right, you think, I'm good, right? Now I hear this story in my community group. That young family with babies, literally babies, newborns, the landlord wants to kick out his renters, family with babies, and they say, well, no, we have the right, you cannot just kick us out. It's a Costa Rica rule, very protective for a renter. And the landlord thinks, screw you. I know that is right, but I want to have you out anyways. And he just breaks the water pipes. This is the story. The landlord just on purpose cuts the water pipes, so disconnects the water from the house, pretending he didn't know about it. And the families with babies have no water, no running water, which is of course impossible for a family, right? At the end of the story, the family leaves because they have no choice. It's not okay. It's not safe and good to live in a house without running water with babies. So basically forcing them to leave. Is this hidden crime or what? I'm not saying this is just happening in Costa Rica. So is it safe to live here? Well, I say yeah, but this is happening too. I'm just naming it. I'm not proud of it. There's other things that I think. So what can you do against that? Oh, but also there's landlords who are dangerous. In places like this, in Santa Teresa, I live in between towns. A lot of expats come here from anywhere, from nowhere. In a lot of cases, you don't know who you're dealing with, right? It could be a very, shouty lady from Spain that I had as landlord with a big mouth, but not dangerous. So I overruled her with self-confidence and said, I'm not afraid of you. I'm gonna live here whether you like me or not, And later on it appeared that she was doing bad things to a lot of renters this way. So I was kind of lucky. But if you're unlucky, friends of mine were on a vacation and with a family and dogs. And people came when they were gone. The landlord came in and took all their stuff, including the deposit, everything that was in their safe, money, passports, everything, clothing. The whole house was empty because they had some kind of disagreement about rent. I don't know the details, but the landlord said, you're gonna get your stuff back as soon as you pay me $10,000 or $20,000. And they said, well, that's, you know, unreasonable because of XYZ. Like I said, I don't know the details. And end of the story, the police couldn't do anything because there is laws and rules. And this is the story, that the police is friends with this guy who is paying the police. Who am I to say this is a rule for whole Costa Rica? I'm just saying there is corruption here. There is bad mafia types squeezing things out of people, unfortunately. I think when I've heard my own video before I moved to Costa Rica, perhaps I didn't even dare to take a leap and rent something from a distance or to go there. But I assure you, corruption is everywhere, even in the Netherlands, in the United States. So don't stay away from Costa Rica because of this. But like I said, I'm paying it forward. There's weird things happening. Also, according to buying property, hidden crime is that people are selling property that's not theirs to sell. How do you know? Sometimes even the attorney doesn't know because they leave tiny little due diligence things. They are not very closely, how do you say that, focused. I know people, they were building on their new bought property a house, and they had to break it down because what appeared is that the piece where they were building on was not officially theirs because it was already owned by someone else who was not in the country. They had to break their building down and had to give up that piece of property. That was a family with 2 young children. Of course, the biggest nightmare, right? Well, today they're awesome, they're great. They found a way, but it was a big, expensive hustle. You cannot be too careful. Have a good attorney, please. I think also hidden crime in Costa Rica is that as a tourist, you pay in general double the price as when you are a local or when you are an expat. In gyms, marketplaces, taxis, but also overall. Even in shops, you can, I'm not saying this is crime for a shop to ask the highest price, but I found out that in basically all shops, except for example, the butcher and the pastry but like when you buy a television whatsoever, there's always a cheaper price. So is this hidden crime that if you don't ask, you pay more? No, I don't think it's hidden crime, but I think it's worth it to mention that it's easy to pay too much as you should, right? So be in charge of your own wallet, please, and always ask for a lower price and don't just trust anyone. This is the biggest tip. Be always aware of what's happening around you. Don't just blindly trust a stranger, because for a lot of people in Costa Rica, you are a business, okay? And if people have a hard financial time, especially we saw that after COVID, people were in need of money, right? Businesses were collapsing. So it was easy to pay too much. So don't be naive, please. Take care of your stuff. Be aware of who you trust and don't go by yourself to hikes or on beaches and stuff. Be cautious with renting out and paying in advance too much money for something that you don't know if it's worth. Okay. Are you aware of who you're dealing with? Who is your landlord? Okay, buying property, have a good attorney doing the due diligence really, really well. Make sure you have the planos of the municipality stating black and white that there's no debts on that property that you're buying, that there's water on that property. It's also a crime to buy something beautiful while for real it's crappy, right? But it's up to you to observe and to see it and talk to people around you. Also for single travelers, make friends along your way, but take your sixth sense, please. Don't just trust randomly everyone. Don't just say, hey, I'm gonna go to the restroom, can you please watch my bag? I never do that. Unless you know someone really well and you're traveling together for a little while now. This is also what has been happening, and I read a post about that in my community group in Santa Teresa. I felt so terrible for that person. It was a young traveler. He went to a discotheque here in town. He brought his backpack, etc. And later on, afterwards, he went to the beach, fell asleep. And guess what? He woke up and everything was gone, including his passport, wallet, phone. He had nothing, only the flip-flops and the clothes he was wearing, and he had a hangover. Don't be naive. This is asking for trouble, okay? When I was traveling back in 19 something in India, we locked our backpack with locks in the train, because it was well known that in specific trains who went from A to B, that tourists wake up and their whole backpack is gone. So we had locks. We locked it on beams like this in the train, so no one could just take away our stuff. So I hope this all makes sense. Just leave a reply below and give me some reflection, or perhaps you have some examples to share, or perhaps you have some tips to share. This is what I want to give as biggest advice. When you are in a situation that you think, shoot, I feel that I'm getting in trouble. I find myself in a place that there's no one. Sometimes it just happens, you know, you lower your guards, you're on vacation, you're traveling, you're like, yay. And then out of a sudden you think you are aware this is a bad street. Suppose that you're in San Jose downtown. I would not walk in San Jose downtown in the evening. I would do everything in Uber. And that's a tip for you as well. But suppose you are in this situation. This is what I learned from my martial art teacher. I am a black belt jiu-jitsu martial artist. Not everyone knows that, me, but one of my lessons, number one of my sensei, was prevent getting in trouble. That's rule number one. So don't go to a narrow street by yourself, or go by yourself over the beach at night, or fall asleep at the beach after you have been dancing in a discotheque, or walk home, whatever. Yeah, we see you, Dirk. There's Dirk. So, but what is very, very important is that you avoid it. Rule number two, and I've had it happen in my life, that strange men came to me, and I was young then. I walked home by myself. I worked in bars in the Netherlands, and I felt I was in trouble. And what I did was hire your self-confidence and just never be afraid. Don't have that vibe around you that you are afraid. It's like animal world. Horses and dogs, they feel when you're afraid. If you're super afraid of horses, 9 out of the 10 times the horse will throw you off. If you're super afraid of dogs, the dog will easily bite you. Then when you're totally not afraid, because there's this weird scent, this weird vibration around you. Just this can save your life. Be super self-confident and don't show any fear. And I don't know how to train that, but I do know it helped me, and I do know it helped a lot of travelers. But stick together, okay? Be aware of what's happening, and don't just trust anyone. Not when you're buying, not when you're renting, not when you make new friends and you leave your stuff. Please, the world, unfortunately, is also full with thieves. But also a fact is that there is many honest people who are sincerely there to help you. And I am proud to be able to say that I met a lot of good people in Costa Rica. So again, this video is not to frighten you, but I wanted to give you a heads up for hidden crime, like the rental stuff. Oh, another example, hidden crime. You are renting a place, a house with a little garden with a fence around it. One of my friends, she's renting and she's paying a lot of hundreds of dollars per month for a small crappy house. But anyways, and out of the blue she comes from work. She has 2 dogs. And there are workers in her garden, that is including her house. Without any announcement, they took down the fence around her garden. So the dogs could run free. The neighbor's dogs could walk in her garden, which has no fence now. I could attack her dogs. Her dogs could run away. And it's easier for others to come in her house. That's like you know, I think it's hidden crime. It's of course against the rules that a landlord starts working in your property that you're renting without any announcement. But you know, when you are living in a new place, and the law goes pretty slow here, even if you are standing in your right, it is a hustle in the system here to get your right. It's the truth. Processes go very slow in Costa Rica. So again, it's not to talk bad about Costa Rica, but be aware that if you are in trouble, you need the police. The police is not acting so fast as you may be used to when you come from Europe, from the Netherlands, from the United States, from Canada. It's like flash, 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 and an ambulance or a police car is coming. Well, here the roads are bad. There's just not so much police. They're just doing something else. I don't know. Again, not bad talk about the police in Costa Rica, but I've seen this happen. So stick to yourself. Prevent being a victim of crime, hidden crime. Be aware of that you are in a Latin American country. So also, please be careful or just do not buy drugs. Simple as that. You go to a party and you like to smoke things that I don't want to mention. You better prevent it and don't do it, because don't forget, you're in a freaking Latin American country. Sometimes they invade parties and they take everyone, and then the police acts really fast that if you have things in your back pocket that you're not allowed by law, you disappear in a Latin American prison in Costa Rica, and that's not why you came to Costa Rica, right? So why don't you just prevent all that trouble and stay away from crime, have your sixth sense with you and your good vibes around you. Don't focus on what can happen, because you should not go like this through Costa Rica now because I watched Muriel's video. But just be aware, please, that things happen and things can go right as well. Like I said, thank you, universe, but never anything bad happened to me besides that situation with that landlord, which I got out really well with the honor of myself and not paying her something that wasn't worth it. But unfortunately, there's other stories, and I hope that you can learn from it. So that was my purpose, to hope that you can learn from it. Be aware, that's all. So let me know if this was helpful. It was a long video, but as you probably know by me, I'm here to serve. I want to help you to make Costa Rica the best experience possible. Who am I? This is just my story. And yeah, and Tico Blanco saying be careful wherever you go, not just for Costa Rica, but everywhere. And make the best. Positivity spreads as well. Positivity attracts. But always have your eyes in your back pocket, because at the end of the day, when you're new in Costa Rica, you should never trust just anyone, and no stranger in any case. And trust will come the longer you know people. Okay, so please let me know if this makes sense and if this video was helpful. And with that being said, I'm looking forward to seeing you in my new video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can do that by hitting that button around my video. And if you wonder what is it that I do for a living, allowing my husband and my kids to live here freely with just 2-3 hours work per day, sometimes even less. Thanks to my online business, I have a coaching program. I've created several digital courses. You can click the very first link below to learn more about how I started online and how you can start online as well. Click the link saying digitaldutchies.com/itspossible. And a really awesome, exciting world online can open up for you. Just follow all the steps behind that link. But that was a PS. See you soon. Bye. I'm gonna hit the button now to